Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is forming a brand new bullish divergence pattern that is resulting in this pattern forming right now that we haven't seen form since Bitcoin bottomed out at 30,000 US dollars back in May. Alongside that, I'll also be talking about the massive amount of buy orders coming in at these lower prices and the fact that we're currently sitting in extreme fear according to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. All of that and more in this video, so make sure you're watching all the way to the end of this video so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Bitcoin US dollar charts on the 4-hour time frame. And over the past few days on the channel, I was talking about this bullish divergence between these two lows. And then in my last Bitcoin update video that I posted yesterday on the channel, right around here, I basically said that short-term bullish divergence has pretty much already played out. And since I posted that video, Bitcoin did drop a little bit lower on the 4-hour charts. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin RSI on the 4-hour time frame put in a new higher low. So as I just mentioned, this is resulting in another bullish divergence forming on the 4-hour time frame. And for the beginners out there, this just means we're about to see reduced selling pressure most likely, which will either come in the form of sideways price action or a slight bounce back to the upside. And another bullish indicator right now is of course the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index still sitting in extreme fear, even though the Bitcoin price hasn't really done anything in around a week. And when you zoom out to the daily time frame, what we have here on this Bitcoin chart is the time periods where the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index was sitting in extreme fear. That's represented by these green zones just here. I've already covered this chart many times on the channel over the past few weeks, but for the brand new viewers on the channel, you can see that during the times we were sitting in extreme fear after a major move to the downside, they were usually some of the best buying opportunities to hold for the longer term, as in at least for the next few months. And that's not just my opinion, and obviously that is not financial advice. That's just telling you what this indicator has actually done for Bitcoin in its past. And I can tell you now that I've personally accumulated Bitcoin during all of these times we were sitting in extreme fear. And within just a few months after we were sitting in extreme fear, I was making a lot of profits. And so that is why I am dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin right now. Once again, that is not financial advice. That's just telling you what I am doing in my Bitcoin strategy. And staying on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, what we have here is that bullish divergence that we just talked about in the beginning of this video has also transferred over to the daily time frame. We have made short-term lower lows if you're looking at the daily candle closes in the immediate short term, and the RSI on the daily time frame in that same time period has formed a higher low, which is obviously a bullish divergence, but on the daily time frame is even more significant than on the 4-hour chart. And what's very interesting about this price action is the fact that we're forming a descending parallel channel at the same time of seeing that bullish divergence on the daily time frame just after we entered into oversold territories on the daily RSI. And all of this is happening in between the 20-week simple moving average, which is the green line just here, coming in at around 52.8k, and the 55-week simple moving average coming in at around 45,000 US dollars. And so now that I've pointed all of that out to you, I'm sure you can now see how similar this price action is to this previous price action that we formed at the bottom of the May crash. Even the crash leading into that bottom was quite similar. It almost happened in a two-phase crash where we started to head to the downside, and then we saw a lot of sideways price action, and then we saw the main crash to the downside below the 20-week SMA. Just like with the crash over the past 1 month, we saw the initial move to the downside and then a lot of sideways price action, and then the main crash to the downside just over a week ago now, which put us below the 20-week SMA. And previously back in May, all of that price action was of course happening in between the 20-week SMA and the 55-week SMA. We were also in a descending parallel channel forming a bullish divergence on the daily time frame. And not to mention that back then we were also sitting in extreme fear, just the same as what we're seeing right now. So obviously, just because we saw something play out in the past, it doesn't guarantee anything's going to happen in the future. But what we can do is look to this past price action to figure out what might be a likely scenario for Bitcoin. And honestly, if we were to see anything like what we saw back during May, June, and July, that's basically just a whole lot of sideways price action with perhaps a very slight trend to the downside. But when we were seeing all of this form back in the May price action, yes, we still had a few short-term dips ahead of us, but the worst of the crash was behind us at that point. And so that is just another reason why I'm personally dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. And all of that Bitcoin that I'm holding for the longer term, as in for at least the next few months. And that's exactly what I was telling you back during May, June, and July, and also back at the end of September. Basically, anytime we're in extreme fear, I let you know that I am accumulating Bitcoin, and so far that's worked out very well for the longer term. Now jumping over to the Bitcoin order books across all of these exchanges, and right now we've got a huge amount of buy orders coming in between around 45,500 all the way down towards launch around 44,500. So in that $1,000 price range, once again, there's a lot of buy orders coming in there. And for the beginners out there, that just means we have a lot of support for the Bitcoin price in between 44,500 and 45,500 US dollars per Bitcoin. And where is that coming in on the Bitcoin chart? Well, that's basically where the 55-week SMA is coming in at, and that's exactly where the Bitcoin price bottomed out during June and July. So for the Bitcoin price to drop below 44,000, we would need a lot of sudden selling pressure flooding into the Bitcoin market, and right now we're not seeing that, at least just yet. So obviously this is great to see for the bulls out there because it means that Bitcoin is starting to form a bit of a floor in the short term. Also, just giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin funding rates across all of these exchanges. Right now, we've still got a lot of negative funding rates, which technically speaking, that is more bullish than bearish for the Bitcoin price, because anytime we see negative funding rates, that means the short positions have to pay a fee, usually every 8 hours, to the long positions in order to keep the short positions open. So the more short positions that open, the further these funding rates go into negative territory, which makes the short positions more and more expensive to maintain. And eventually that will force the short positions to close their positions. And when they do that, they have to buy back into Bitcoin, adding new buying pressure to the Bitcoin market. Now, it's important to mention that this doesn't mean we're going to be bullish tomorrow or anything. For example, during most of June and July, we saw a lot of negative funding rates. So it can stay like this for even up to a couple months. But similar to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, anytime we're sitting in extreme fear and anytime we're seeing negative funding rates, usually that turns out to be a pretty decent time to accumulate Bitcoin for the longer term. Once again, that is not me telling you to buy Bitcoin. That is just telling you what these funding rates mean for Bitcoin. And now zooming into the 2-hour time frame for Bitcoin, what we have here is that head and shoulders pattern that I previously covered on the channel, just to give you a final update on that pattern, basically saying that we have now hit the technical price target for this pattern with that wick to the downside that we've seen over the past 1 day approximately. And soon the US stock markets will open up again. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens when they do open, because yesterday we had a red day in the markets as the S&P 500 was running along this level of resistance, coming in at just above 4,700. And by the way, this is the daily time frame for the S&P 500. So basically, if the stock market continues to find resistance along that level just there, and especially if we see a further rejection to the downside, that would be a bearish signal for crypto, because usually it is very hard for Bitcoin and the entire crypto market to flip bullish while we're having a bearish stock market. But if the S&P 500 can finally break above this point of resistance and more importantly break into new all-time highs, then seriously it is only a matter of time in that scenario before Bitcoin starts its recovery back to the upside. The subscribers on this channel would already know this, but for the brand new viewers on the channel, if you don't already know, the stock market and Bitcoin are pretty correlated most of the time. It's not a perfect correlation, but usually when we see bearish price action, that transfers over to Bitcoin and a lot of the crypto markets, and same for bullish price action, like what we saw back during October. The stock market was bullish during that time, just the same as Bitcoin was bullish during that time. And for extra real-time updates on the crypto markets throughout the day, make sure you follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, please make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of this year, and we are getting so close right now to that milestone. So I just want to say thank you so much, all of you that have subscribed so far, and especially those of you that have been sharing these videos around with your friends and family. Honestly, I really do appreciate all of your support. But anyway, that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.